The Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Jay has the night off. After months of torture and terror, a Yellowstone County woman is free and her alleged attacker behind bars tonight. The woman's apparent boyfriend stands accused of a series of heinous assaults that nearly killed the victim. 53-year-old Charles Arlie Green now held on more than $1 million bond for those brutal acts. Q2's Asia Gore brings us the details the night before Green's arraignment. Asia.
Jeanelle, court documents outline 26 felony charges related to the horrific violence Charles Green allegedly inflicted upon his apparent girlfriend. Green is charged with assault, kidnapping, and assault with a weapon. The crimes allegedly took place in 2016 from May to August. Billings police investigators determined much of the violence took place here at Green's shop on the corner of 5th Street West and St. John Street. A month into their relationship, the victim fled to the nearby Albertsons for help after she was hit with a hammer. Police responded, but it does not appear Green was immediately arrested. In the weeks that followed, the victim was tied to a chair and tortured with various tools, including a tack strip and wrench. Green's ex-wife allegedly kept the victim from fleeing, telling investigators she only helped her ex-husband out of fear. After her rescue, the victim was diagnosed with a fractured spine, arm, and rib, as well as hearing and vision loss. Her mouth also permanently disfigured. The many witnesses interviewed all said they never came forward because they were afraid of Green. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks so much, Asia. Now, Green has 2 prior convictions for assaulting a different woman in Tennessee. Authorities say the hacker behind a cyber terror attack against schools in the Flathead Valley is demanding ransom. That's the latest information tonight from Flathead County Sheriff Chuck Curry, who decided to release the ransom letter to parents. He says he wants to help parents understand the scope of the threat and the progress of the ongoing investigation, which began when the suspect hacked into the Columbia Falls School District computers last week. Curry hopes by releasing the letter, it will show people the threats were not real and were simply a tactic by the cyber extortionists to facilitate their demand for money. He also says the group, not located in the U.S., is already known for making other threats across the country. He says, quote, "We will continue to work around the clock to bring those responsible to justice and remain fully committed to this investigation, even though we now know the physical threat to our children does not exist," end quote. Although no arrests have been made, Flathead Valley schools will open their doors tomorrow after 3 days of school closures. MTN's Jack Ginsburg was at Columbia Falls High School today as parents and students met with authorities.
Today, teachers and school officials met with law enforcement for 2 hours prior to a public meeting to discuss how the threats were started, when they started, and what the schools have done to bring safety back to the community. Students will go back to school tomorrow, but many parents had questions about whether the schools were physically safe to come back to.
Has the school been thoroughly checked over from top to bottom, upper curtains, every place else? Yeah. That's all I'm concerned about. I could care less if they hack into my computer.
Columbia Falls Superintendent Steve Bradshaw says every school has been checked, but knows that schools are vulnerable every single day.
So, can I assure you 100% your kids are going to come to school tomorrow and be safe? I can't do that.
However, according to the Columbia Falls Police Chief, Clint Peters, law enforcement believes the attacks are strictly cyber and do not pose a physical threat.
The threat of them coming in and hurting our children is off the table, and that's the point of this meeting, is that it's not there.
Peters often refers to the attacks being done as a group and says they do not think they are living in the nearby area.
The extent of their knowledge of the internet would put them in an extremely small percentage within the state and probably even in this country.
Columbia Falls students and many others across the Flathead Valley will return to classes at normal hours tomorrow with police on campus. In Columbia Falls, Jack Ginsburg, MTN News.
Thanks, Jack. Again, no arrests have been made. Now, it was also an unsettling day for students and staff in K through 12 grades in Dillon, Montana. Authorities arrested 2 high school students after they allegedly brought handguns to school. The loaded revolvers were found in backpacks after another student told staff about them. The 2 students were arrested. The school was evacuated and the middle and elementary schools were put on lockdown. Dillon authorities would not say if the students were planning to harm anyone at the school, but added there's no threat to students. Meanwhile, here in Billings, School District 2 must now begin the search for its next superintendent. Superintendent Terry Bauck made a surprising announcement at tonight's board meeting. Q2's Dustin Kleeman standing by now with those details. Dustin.
Good evening, Jeanelle. The district's success has been marked in many ways for the past 5 years with Superintendent Terry Bauck at the helm. From 2 new middle schools to solutions over overcrowded classrooms, tonight Bauck announced he will look to spend more time with family after working for the district since 2012.
The time has come for me to turn this over. The work that we have done, and we, this community, this board, past boards, and we progressively worked hard to get where we're at. Every minute of the last 6 years has been worth it to me.
It was an emotional moment for Bauck and the entire staff. We'll speak to him further over the coming days about the administration's accomplishments. Also worth noting tonight, the district and teachers union has not agreed on a contract for this year. Teachers would receive retroactive pay from July 1st if and when the contract is agreed to on both sides. Jeanelle?
All right, thanks, Dustin. In other school news, the Skyview Falcons will soon be solar powered. The school, the largest user of energy in School District 2, now has some financial help to install a solar energy system. A $50,000 grant from Northwestern Energy will bring down the cost of the $139,000 project. The 50-kilowatt system is estimated to take at least 7 years before a return of investment. School District 2 will eye a second $50,000 grant next year to install a similar solar energy system on Senior High School. Turning to weather, Ed McIntosh in for Bob McGuire this week. Ed, it seems summer found the exit early, and we're getting a bit of a fall preview.
We are, but it's important to remember that we still have a lot of wildfires burning, and that's going to continue to be a problem here. Although we could start to see a little more relief, we have 41 large fires across Montana, the northern portion of Idaho, involving almost 700,000 acres across the region. We also have 60 crews and more than 4,000 personnel still out there fighting the fires, and across Montana itself, 45 fires still listed as active. We do have a weather system that is moving in, as Jeanelle mentioned, that will start to affect those fires as we start getting into the next few days. Take a look at the forecast and show you how that will influence them here in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Ed. St. Thomas, one of the U.S. Virgin Islands that hasn't even begun to recover from Hurricane Irma, is now under another hurricane warning tonight. David Begnow was there today.
Unless you're with the military, one of the only ways to get to St. Thomas is by boat or helicopter.
When we got close to the airport, you could see the vast devastation from Irma. As soon as we landed, we saw an elderly woman being evacuated. EMT Jacob Bradley from Arkansas told us all the critically ill patients are being airlifted out of the hurricane's path.
It's been bad. We've had 6 patients laying in a restaurant because we couldn't get them to a hospital.
Even Bradley and the other first responders are leaving.
I would say compares to Katrina, definitely, if not worse.
As you ride around the island, we found a lot of people who said, listen, I stayed for Irma, I'm going to stay again for Maria. But we have come across groups of people who said, there's no way I'm riding out another storm. Like Dana Neal.
It's horrible over there. There is not a leaf, every tree is bent. Buildings, houses, businesses, everything is devastated.
But others like Ken Roy aren't leaving.
You know, we have paradise, but this is what we have to go through. Been here before, done it before, and we do it again.
Chelsea Cicero and her boyfriend Breedy have been trying to find a way out for 2 days now.
I'm just desperate to get out of here, so I'm just trying to be as patient as possible, but it's hard not to give up.
We've made it back to Puerto Rico. Look, people have warned us if Maria makes a direct hit here, as expected, it could cut power to this island for weeks. Already, officials have ordered rationing of basic supplies like baby formula, water, milk, even batteries and flashlights. David Begno, CBS News, San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Still to come on tonight's 10 o'clock news, President Trump is expected to address the United Nations for the first time tomorrow. Check out his plans. Plus, thanks to a $10 ticket, one local woman is driving a brand new car. Find out how. And later in sports, Scott has a story on this Montana farm girl now on her collegiate rowing team.
You're watching MTN News with Jay Cohn and Jeanelle Slade. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire and sports with Scott Green. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2. Montana's news.